It is live.
Whoa.
3 seconds. 3 seconds live. Hey, how's my light, man? What if I add me some light on there? What do you think? Is that better? I don't know. I think we good here. I think I'm looking pretty good. I think I'm all right. Hey, we now interrupt you. We interrupt your normally boring timeline to bring you the dopest, the illest conversation that's about to happen in your day. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss this because I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick. Happy Monday, y'all.
Absolutely. We are the Mad Men of Masculinity, baby.
That's right. We're coming to you live on this Monday to be real men having real conversations for you. And today we got a good one. Kirk, break it down for him, man.
We might need a shower because this is going to be filthy in a good way. I mean, we ain't going to get ill. We ain't going to get like that. But so you might notice that we have another face on the screen here. And this young lady is phenomenal. I mean, truly, truly phenomenal. I mean, you know, first of all, her name is Keonga Ford. If you haven't guessed, if you haven't seen, I think she just typed her. Maybe she just wants to go one name. Maybe she just wants to be like Prince now. I don't know.
I just can't get back to it.
You just can't get back to it. It's all right. It's all right. We're gonna move forward. Anyhow, this young lady right here. I mean, she is dope. We, it's one of those kind of, Mark Zuckerberg connections on Facebook. We met, and then we met in person. And we gotta have that. Remember that we had that conversation wherever that was, somewhere in downtown Denver. I don't know. But I need to say that if you don't know this young lady, you need to. She has a dynamic pull or draw to her, an air of femininity that is unique amongst people that I've met. I mean, a sense of power without being dominant, a sense of depth without being scary. I mean, just a sense of, I don't know. She's just all that in a bag of Pringles. Even though Pringles come in a can. I know. Come on, man. Anyhow, and so first of all, let's get this out of the way. Where are you right now, Keonga?
Yay! I'm in Australia. I'm in the northern beaches of Sydney, and my studio light right now is coming from the ocean. It's 11 a.m. here.
I thought you were generating your own glow.
I'm getting some help.
Yeah, I get you. You probably lighten up the outside out there. You down in Australia, down in the outback. The magic of the internet. I'm telling you, this is great, man. This is fantastic. And so again, you and I are, we comment back and forth on each other's stuff. And I want to get into, you're doing something special here. You're doing some online resources for folks, online seminar. And I want to come back to that. But can you spend 10, 20 seconds just sharing people right up front here what you got going on here in the near future?
Yeah, I have 2 online gender series coming up, one exclusively for men, one for women. And I think you guys are probably more interested in the one for men. It is called New Masculine Foundations. And it's all about sort of how you keep up with the sort of masculinity as it gets redefined and how it plays out in your life, right? And what it is that women are really wanting from you now.
Oh yeah, that sounds nice.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you hanging out with 2 fellas right here that we want to know what women want. It's like that Mel Gibson movie, What Women Want, man. If we could read minds, you are like the personification of that movie. See, you're going to help us today discuss something that is going to help men change our paradigms. Because you actually posted something a week ago, and I'll let you kind of unpack the story, and then we'll get into it. But unpack that story about when you talked about just guys approaching you and how guys approach you and how they kind of come at you sideways kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that all came out of the fact that I decided to start dating down under. And, when you start, there's always that rush, right? Like you're the new girl in the pond. And so I had suddenly a lot of attention and a lot of interactions with men, all in a wave. And I noticed that I was having the same experience over and over. And that was that men were approaching me with a lot of enthusiasm, but they also were not giving me space to get into my yes so I could respond. And so then it would start this kind of complex cycle of them feeling like I'm not responding to them and losing confidence. And it would just kind of devolve from there, right? And so I was writing because I'm like, I just need you to hold your space so that I have time to get there. That's it.
Wow. Man, you know, probably, first of all, either one of the three of us could have this conversation individually for 30 minutes. And so this is going to be difficult for us to kind of get in and get out. But when you hear about that, JBK, what does that normally bring to mind for you?
Well, it's very brings up a lot of memories of my recent foray into dating again. So it's kind of a similar thing. And I was looking in the mirror as you're talking, Kiaga, because it's like, okay, I didn't date for about 6.5 years or 5.5 years, whatever it was. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready to date now. And then and then immediately there's ladies coming in, and I'm just so excited and so enthralled and happy that I'm diving in feet first. I'm not stopping to take a moment and hold space. I'm getting overly excited, which, I mean, that's kind of that rush of energy and emotion. And you're like, this is amazing. This is awesome. But those first two instances, it was very quick. You know, it was like a very quick in, quick out, because there was no space holding, no time to actually go, who are we and how do we get along, and are we a good match? I mean, you're cute and all, but do we fit and everything? And so that was kind of, I was looking in the mirror as you were speaking, going, yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, that's I would say that's the biggest thing that I'm noticing is the ability to hold space so that you can get to know each other, and then be able to find out, number one, if you can communicate, if you are communicative compatible, if you can actually understand each other and you're on the same frequency and wavelength, and then if you have the same core values and things. And so I think you're hitting the nail on the head. Men, we need to hold space more for the women. I know we get excited and we turn into like little puppies with our new chew toy or whatever, and we're just like, you know, but we gotta take a breath, take a step back, and because if it's meant to be, you're gonna have a long time with this person. So we slow it down and take a breath. So I absolutely agree.
Mr. And first of all, I love that, and I just clicked over and checked, by the way, and this is showing up on your timeline too, Kiaga. But you know, when you posted that, I mean, that shook me for a minute, because I completely get, from a man perspective, the idea of, first of all, the rushing into, like, I mean, part of it is we get excited, and that's the boy in us. You know, it's some of it comes down to the hunter in us as well, where we see it, you know, we want it, and we want to go after it. I mean, it's like, you know, that's part of the core of who we are, and that's kind of what makes us guys. I mean, that's what made, you know, Maverick and Top Gun. You know, I see the shot and I take it, kind of thing. That doesn't always work in the area of femininity, which is, you know, why you all are a gift to us, because it challenges us outside of who we are. But, you know, I pictured in that, and I had the conversation actually with someone else after you posted that, but it's the space for your flower to bloom or your flower to blossom. And for us guys, it's just a paradigm shift that we need to sometimes back off and give you space to move in as a woman.
Yeah, it definitely brings back the visual of the riverbanks. You know, the masculine being the riverbanks and the feminine being the river that flows. You know, being able to hold space and give the feminine space to move, but also give boundaries and whatnot. And so it's interesting to see how we come back to that boundary setting and space holding. Although, even though our instinct is like, let's go get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you an awake man? Will you hold the space, or are you just going to follow the carnal instincts and just go after it? So absolutely.
Yeah. There are two things that I want to say to that, actually. And the first is, the first thing you see is just a hologram of me. It's my projection that I've sent in advance of me. It is a fraction of what I really am. And if you don't wait for me to actually show up, you're going to miss it. So don't hunt the hologram.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
All right, man. Take notes. You need to write that down.
Dude, this is education right here. This is, you know what I'm saying? This is some dynamic stuff. So you're saying that I mean, I guess there's really not, I can't even restate what you just said in terms of how dope that was. I mean, I'm seeing a projection of you, but from a guy perspective, does that mean that what I'm seeing is not actually you in terms of you might be totally different when I get to know you?
If I've done my work on my side, there won't be differences of kind, right? Like that projection will be totally different than who I am. But what is really me is so much deeper. There's a lot more substance. They should be aligned, but you're not going to get to see that depth the second that like you see the image.
So what you're saying is when I first see you, the hologram, I see the height, I see the width, but what I don't see is the depth.
Right. You see the curves. That's often pretty inspiring.
It is,
but it's
no,
not.
Let me keep it real with you. First of all, you're a beautiful woman, right? I mean, and first of all, I mean, not only that, but from a man perspective, I mean, and this is, I'm just being real, right? This is a keep it real show. I'm just keeping it real in terms of, you know, from a woman perspective, y'all can't trip out when a guy makes that move, when he makes that approach. I mean, you are magnetic. That's the power of your femininity that you're offering me as a masculine male. When I see you, like, I want that. And so we're not guilty for wanting that.
No. There's no guilt. There's no judgment. There's no blame. But like, I will actually tell you, hey, I need space. And when I tell you, I need for there to be a frame where that can be received, right? Like I can receive your desire. I appreciate it. But also for me to meet you in that, for you to have the experience that I know to be possible, you have to wait for me.
Okay, say that again. Like I think you just said something that kind of rose the hair on my neck to stand up. Can you say that again?
Yeah. For you to have the experience that I know to be possible, you have to wait for all of me to show up.
Lord have mercy. Wow. So I can't even, if I rush too soon, I can't even have the all of you that's that's possible to be. I can't have all of your depth if I just hurry up and just wade in the shallow end.
Yeah. And even if I meet you there, I won't stay because I know you're not actually holding space for how I actually want to show up. Right? So we'll have this kind of passing shallow encounter because let's be real, I have my hungers too. And also sometimes I have just not the patience to hold the space for you, to hold the space for me. But I won't stay because that's ultimately not satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, if you look at just normal relationships or how people are dating right now, you can see so much truth in that. Yeah, do you want to have the fleeting, just surface relationship, and maybe your needs are met on the surface, but are you really wanting depth? Then what is your goal? I think Kirk and we talked about this before. What's your goal? What's your purpose with this? Are you looking for depth? Are you looking for a relationship? Are you looking for something deeper? Then, gentlemen, you got to hold space so that the real her can come out, so she can feel safe. Because I mean, that is, the three needs of femininity. Safety, security, and presence. Are you being those things for her?
Okay, also you could just say those 3 words. They're hot.
See. I saw her whole demeanor. JBK, man, you better slow down. You better slow down, JBK, man. She might get on that airplane here in a minute, boy. I'm telling you.
I ain't been to Australia yet. There's always time to go travel.
Man, I'm telling you, man. So, and it is one of those. Do you want to walk and have a little bit, or do you want to run and have a little bit? Do you want to walk and have it all? And I've been guilty of that, where I ran, and I ran like full steam, and quite honestly, I've experienced it times in the past where, this is just me being transparent, me being honest, little vulnerability, I guess, where I thought it was something that it was not. And it wasn't because, or that miscue was because, I got a little bit ahead of the game. I got a little bit ahead of the curve. I was deeper than that was. And that's a recipe for disaster, especially from a man point of view.
Yeah. I want to just decode this a little bit too, because I hear you guys talking about values and I hear you talking about longevity. But I want you to know that even if you just want to have deeper levels of sex, you have to slow down, right? So this isn't just about the long game. This could be about being able to have more depth in the moment that you're in.
Mm.
I love playing a long game, but like this is even about the level of charge in my skin, right? Like that battery takes a minute. And it's different than, we're just gonna go there, guys. Are you okay with that?
Go there. You just go. That's how we do it.
It's different than like our thoughts about like foreplay, right? Like that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about really giving her the space to know that she's pursuing this because it's what she wants, not because you're coming at her, right? And like that kind of engagement is totally different. So I will just fully come out here because I think the thing that I can share with you will be helpful. So part of my journey to doing the work that I do now is that I have taught in the area of conscious sexuality. And one of the practices that I've taught is a practice called orgasmic meditation, which is a 15-minute clitoral stroke, right? And one of the things, yep, that's the thing that I said. Everybody can come back now. We're talking about stroking the clitoris.
Yeah, we've had that conversation before. I mean,
yeah. That's okay, but your audience hasn't, so everybody's
in a legit kind of way. Yeah. But go ahead.
Right, and one of the things that we always say in training is that you actually want to get the clit to come and touch your finger rather than sending your finger in to touch the clit, right? So you want to have that woman and her desire draw out toward you. It's a whole different thing than going in for her. And there's a different way to think about hunting there, right? Like a good hunter isn't trying to blow up his kill, right? He's trying to get it isolated. He's trying to get it clean, right? So don't use explosives.
Kirk, it reminds me of your favorite movie, Hitch. You know,
I come
90, you come.
Dude, you know me, man. You know that's exactly what I was about to say next, man. I come 90 and you come 10. That's right. Exactly what it is. Dude, man, JBK, man, you, man, seriously, you are there, man. But
even get more crass, guys. I mean, we made the analogy before. You know, women are kind of more the diesel engine. You know, you got to warm them up. You got to take the time. You got to get it primed. And men, you're the electric motor. You turn it on, you're on. So you got to be aware of these things. There's differences in how we get started. So, you know, just to throw a little visualization there, we're a little different, but be aware of those things because it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is in the crock pot and the microwave, you know, and it's one of those things that sometimes, and maybe absolutely in the beginning, you know, she needs to warm up to you initially. She needs to cook in the crock pot. Now, maybe later on down the road, once the meal is cooked and you having leftovers, you having some later on, maybe you can put it in the microwave and heat it up because it's already cooked. Don't you be getting all blushing.
I just like, oh my God, it just became a leftover.
No. Not a leftover. Ain't nothing wrong with some, hey. When you speaking to guys, ain't nothing wrong with bringing something out of the refrigerator that's already cooked, heating it up and having a little, you know, because let's be real. I mean, from a guy perspective, you know, sometimes, especially in the context of a relationship, this is to women. Sometimes, you know, throw us a bone in terms of let it be microwave-ish sometimes. I mean, let it be where it's not always, you know, the long game. And I mean, if anything, keep that in the variety bucket in terms of, hey, sometimes we can just do our thing and, you know, we don't have to take a week to build up to it. Now, I get completely what you're saying, but, you know, from a guy perspective, you know, to women, I would say that, you know, once we're there, I'm not talking about the initial cooking of the meal. I'm talking about once we're there, once we're in the context of whatever that is, big picture, long term, whatever, when when it's already there, then it's beneficial to have some variety in the relationship where it can be spicy. Like we can heat it up pretty quickly because we don't have to cook it from scratch. And so that's basically the point I'm getting at. It's not a leftover like somehow.
No, I'm just teasing you.
I promise you, I can crush some leftovers. I promise you. I can crush some daggone leftovers.
Well, let me ask you this, Kiara, because I know what he's saying, and I what I feel like is like if we've done our work correctly and you feel safe and secure and like that we're present with you, then that's a possibility. But if you try to rush into that initially, then you just messed it up.
Yeah, it's like, oh gosh, it's like understanding the range that you have, right? Like if you've only seen my 10%, that's all you'll get. If you have been able to take me to 100%, then you have the range between 0 and 100 to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like sometimes you might want to have a quick romp with my hologram. That's totally fine. But if that's all you've ever seen, you don't know anything about me.
And see, I've come to value even beyond just the physical. I've come to value the intimate. I've come to value the holistic. Like, I don't want your body. I want your mind. I want your spirit. I want your soul. I want all of me to have all of you. Because otherwise, we're just playing in kindergarten. This is preschool stuff. We're just playing house. I mean, at this point, I'm not turned on by just a quick anything anymore. I'll just be honest with you. Maybe it's my age, maybe it's my experience, maybe it's the some of the pain that I went through, some of the trials and triumphs. I don't know, but at this point, I'm interested in connection. That's why I'm the intimacy incubator. That's why that guy over there is the connection catalyst. I mean, we're about depth. We're not about width. We don't get impressed. I think too many men get impressed by the shallow stuff, and it's like, man.
Well, don't get it twisted, Kirk. We were impressed by the shallow stuff. That's how we got here.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, no doubt.
We can't screw up this much and not learn something, and that's how we got here. We did all those things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We completely did, and I just think at this point, at some point, when we become a man, we got to act like a man. We got to think like a man. We have to begin to carry ourselves like men. And quite honestly, from a man perspective, once we begin to hold ourselves to a higher level, a higher bar, once we understand that we're worthy, once we understand our value, then we can look at another woman and say, okay, you got to bring something more than just, some candy, I mean, and nowadays, that's a great place to be from a man perspective. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm not impressed by that little, no, you got to bring something here. And that can be intimidating to a lot of women, by the way. Yeah, here she comes.
I'm going to actually start with, I think a lot of men are looking for depth. I don't think that that's uncommon. I think it's largely misunderstood, but I don't think that it's unusual. And so not knowing how to get to depth, right? So what happens when you're like, no more candy? When a woman like me shows up who you can see that all the things are there, you're just like, okay, then that. But like you can't have it if you cage it. Right. So that's the sort of delicate dance of like, how do we actually get into connection? Because we're all wanting. Those of us that are in this conversation, those are us that are at this level of self-reflexivity, we are all wanting depth.
Yeah.
And we're frankly wanting more depth than we can experience on our own.
Yeah. I think that's really the key too, because our ability to accept depth has a direct correlation to our ability to be vulnerable. And I think that's what scares most men, is they definitely want to go deep. But for the majority of the masculine, they're trained not to be vulnerable, not to be weak or be perceived as weak and whatnot. So I think you've got to be aware enough and do your work and deal with your as Kirk likes to say, deal with your baggage before it comes luggage. You got to deal with your stuff. And once you do that and actually look at your past as a lesson and as a schooling and as those are, yes, I was shallow and yes, all I did was chase the physical and just the surface of the hologram. But because of that journey, now I am seeking depth because I've, dove into myself and now I'm less afraid of the vulnerability. It's just that journey. And I think that's where a lot of, maybe in my experience, a lot of these I've worked with, that they're frustrated with that. But we also need to have that patience on both sides. If you're interested in him and you see there's potential there, then maybe be patient with his fear of vulnerability. And because as men, we have to provide a safe space. Especially ladies, you got to provide a safe space for your men as well, for them to open up and be vulnerable. And once they do that, if you want a man's heart, show him that he's safe being vulnerable with you, and you'll get it. And that's the long game. That's the deep game. That's where the real, intimacy comes from.
Mm-hmm. And here's where I think women are lacking today. I think women are lacking in the emotional guts to be in the space of a real man that is not trying to consume them. I think I see a lot of the female. This is my judgment, my opinion, right, wrong, or different. I see a lot of the female self work in with the intent of being self-empowered or self-strong and that sort of stuff, not necessarily from relating or connecting back to men or back to the masculine. What I've seen, what I've experienced is when real man shows up, more often than not, 50.1% of the time or above, a lot of women don't know how to handle it. Like it's a freaky thing. Either, wait a minute, this is something wrong, I don't trust you, or I don't trust any man, or just whatever. But a lot of women are afraid of a man that shows up present, that shows up with space, that shows up with all of those kinds of things. And so I would love for the superheroes, the Kiangas of the world to to make it safe somehow for us men to show up and be present.
Yeah. And that's why I now have a women's series. Right? Because I touched a lot of men who are in the places where you are, and they also didn't feel so understood on the other side. Right. So we learn things, right? Like we learn how to put down our own masculine, right? Like it's a complex cultural time. We women, particularly women who are professionally successful, have been taught to lead with our masculine and suppress our feminine, right? So it's a big deal when a masculine shows up that is stronger than ours for us to lay ours down, right? And
yeah, that's one of the things that keeps coming up for the people I work with, because I'm with you that there's always, it is very complex time. And what I'm seeing that I think would be very helpful, and I want to throw this out to you because of the work you do, if because of the masculine and because of our innate traits, when a woman comes in her masculine to masculine, there's the conflict. But when a woman comes in her divine, holy feminine, in that goddess energy, we as men, as the masculine, are just in our DNA trained. I mean, that's like our core need, is to take care of and to provide for that energy. That's the mother energy. That's the the holy divine feminine. And I've had this conversation with a lot of professional ladies about try or learn to embody that goddess like energy. It's a softer energy, but you can lead those men instead of coming at them in the masculine, coming at them from that more deep feminine energy, and they will naturally want to serve. They will naturally want to take care of and caretake and protect. So I want to throw that out to you. Like, have you seen that, or is that something you're teaching as well?
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. What you describe is also described as polarity, right? Like we actually need the distance between us, but for us, there is a really profound relearning in that, because we've been rewarded by the same measures that you've been rewarded. Right?
Hey, Kianga, can I be a little bit vulnerable about when we had our conversation in person downtown?
Yes, your video is frozen for me right now, but I can still hear your audio.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It still looks like it's moving on this side, so we'll just keep going. So
it's a nice model shot. You're just blue stilling it off to the side.
So when you and I sat down and we just, for the record, we met downtown. We just sat out on the, I don't remember where that was, but it was outside tables. It was a beautiful day, and whenever that was, spring or summer and that kind of stuff. And we just sat down and we just talked. We didn't have any agenda. We weren't trying to do anything. We just talked, and we just shared kind of our backgrounds and where we come from and the things we're passionate about and that sort of stuff. And and I'll just say that I felt really masculinated. I just made up that word. I just felt really masculinated in your presence. And let me tell you why. I felt that way because I felt you being comfortable in your feminininated. I just made that word up too. I just felt you very comfortable and you were receptive. And it was the best way I can describe it. It was just a natural, like I said, when it's polarity, and it didn't get sexualized. I mean, it didn't go there. But I will tell you that from a guy perspective, that's very alluring in terms of power. And it's something that from a guy perspective, in most cases, that's what we want to consume. That's what we want to rush into. That's what we want to hurry up and get because we want that. And it takes a level of maturity. It takes a level of patience. It takes a level of all that just to back off and just to bask in that. At one point in that conversation, you just paused and you just said, "What do you want right now?" And the old Kirk in me, the old Kirk in me, the old me and the new me kind of had a conversation in a split second. And then the reality was I didn't want anything. And that was my response to you. Like, I don't want anything. Like I was in there and you and I were doing kind of a passion dance, if you will, a passion tango in terms of things that you and I are passionate about. But like I said, it never got consuming. It never got, just ridiculously sexualized or none of that kind of stuff, but it was just an exchange of flow. But I just want to affirm you that I felt comfortable and it brought out a masculine in me because you were feminine. You weren't trying to dominate. You weren't trying to control. You weren't trying to be none of this. You weren't trying to be none of that. You were just a soft place for me to just rest in and relax emotionally, soulfully. And I think that's a difficult dynamic in terms of, especially in this conversation, that's a difficult dynamic for a lot of men to just sit in, because I guarantee you, had you caught me 10 years ago, my answer would have not been nothing. My answer would have been, nothing, none of your business. Don't worry about my answer, Ben. I'm not that no more. But point being, it was just a safe place for me to be masculine, for me to be confident, because of just the way you exuded everything that you are. And that's why I'm a huge fan of who you are and what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing
that. Just tremendously. So let's bring this airplane in for landing. Let's line up on the runway, like I like to say. And so when it comes to, if we want to send, let's direct this to guys, since we're the Mad Men of Masculinity here. If we're talking to a guy, Miss Kiyongo Ford, beloved, I'm trying to think of a title that fits, but I can't think of anything other than phenomenal. If we're talking to a guy, when he gets into the presence, when he gets into that moment with a woman, I mean, how does he proceed without being pushy, without pushing her away, or without going after some part of her that he doesn't really want in the long run?
That is a great question. And I've been thinking a lot about that. I think the kind of summary of that is invite her, right? Rather than going to take the thing, and make the invitation. And it'll be a series of small invitations, and you also wait to see, like, how does she respond to those invitations? And trust if she's asking for space. Like, I know how to leave any situation. So if I still have myself there and I'm making an ask, trust that it's real, right? I can just say, all right, I'm done, right? But if I'm there and I'm asking for space, if I'm there and I'm asking you to do something different, it means I'm trying to stay with you. Help me.
For what I've been hearing, listening to y'all, is it comes back to presence, and really on both sides, be that safe place. Be present and be that safe place, whether you're a masculine, feminine, guy, girl, whatever. If you're interested, if you want to create something with someone, be safe. Be that safe place for them. Turn the light on, leave the light on and the door open, and let them come to you.
I think it's counterintuitive for a lot of guys, but you have to get to the point where you're secure enough in who you are that you can walk away in the moment before, and really the whole time up until she gives whatever that part of her to you. And if she is holding back, if she's not making it clear that she's there, that she's present, if she's, peace out, if she's distanced, then go ahead and let her be. But we have to, as men, we got to be secure enough in our masculinity and who we are and our identity that we're willing to pursue without chasing. Pursuing is face to face. Chasing is face to back. And we should never want to be looking at a woman's back and think it's somehow pursuing her.
Jason's like, I like the back. I know what you're talking about.
No. See, Jason, I'm talking,
I know where you're at. It's just,
Yeah, I like the back too. That's why I like it. No, I'm kidding. But we just keep it real. This is how we do. This is a keep it real show. But I think we do have to be confident in the fact that, if she's there, then she's there. But if she's not, then we got to be willing to just give her some space, and maybe we ping her every now and then. But we got to be willing to just, all right, cool. I got my own thing. I don't need to chase you. I don't want to hunt you, because if I hunt you, then when I catch you, I'm going to mount you, because that's what guys do when they hunt. And so that's a lesson to women, by the way. I know you want to be chased. You really want to be pursued, because if he's chasing you, he's hunting you. And when he catches you, he's going to either mount you on the wall or he's going to mount you. And that's it. But anyhow, but yeah, I mean, I think there's room to be had. So, hey, Kianga, talk about these seminars that you got coming up. When are they, and what's the deal with that? How do people get in touch with that?
Yeah, I have an online men's series starting in the next week because, I'm in Australia, so we're going to do it online. Mm-hmm. It is a 4-week deep dive into sort of the new masculinity and masculine feminine relating. We read, we do some group coaching, we go deep. And I find that even though I'm leading, it's really important that men see that there is a community of men who want this, who are in the same place. Yeah. And so it's really helpful when I have a last name. I'm really sorry I didn't type it. It's Ford, like the car. Very, very traumatic in junior high. That whole, have you driven a Ford lately? But now you can remember it. And you can find me on Facebook. Just send me a friend request and I'm happy to tell you all about it. It's a great place to start. And the group is small. So if that is something that appeals to you, you should jump right on it.
Mm-hmm. And then you said for women also, that's a separate deal?
I have a separate women's series and they run parallel. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll tell you what, like I said, I mean, if I could give a word to guys out there, word to the wise from me to the guys. I mean, this lady, this young lady, this woman, this powerful entity, this being, she's a radiant gift to manhood. And so, hey, that just happened. And so I would highly recommend anybody get in touch with Miss Kianga Ford. She is fantastic. JBK, man, I love you to death, man. I appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you, brother. I am so happy to be coming home. We're gonna hang out and go play in the snow.
We got it. We golf is done. I think we done with that.
It'll dry up. It'll just be cold.
Yeah, it'll be chilly out there. Miss Kianga, all right, take care. We appreciate you. Us here at the Mad Men of Masculinity, we love you to death, and thank you for making us better men here in the past 38 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we'll talk later.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.